Animals and plants are capable of responding to stimuli or changes in the environment. Although plants have vessels for transporting nutrients and water, they have no nervous system. Therefore, the signal to respond to an environmental change is in the form of chemicals. These chemicals are known as hormones or growth substances.
On your marks, get set!
Humans respond to stimuli or changes in the environment by a complex system of electrical impulses passing down nerve fibres. However, animals also respond to stimuli by making gradual and long-term changes within their bodies. For example, the process of waking up requires many changes to take place within the body. Some of these last all day. Gradual changes in physiology are brought about by chemical hormones carried in the blood. Animal hormones are secreted from glands directly into the bloodstream. The adrenal gland secretes several hormones and is found just above the kidney. Other glands, such as these mucus glands in the skin of a frog, have tubes known as ducts. But glands which secrete hormones have no ducts and are therefore known as ductless or endocrine glands. The pancreas is a large gland situated just below the stomach. This gland has a dual purpose. It has a duct leading into the intestine, which it uses to secrete enzymes important in digestion. However, the gland is also an endocrine gland as it secretes hormones directly into the bloodstream. The group of cells seen in the centre of this microscope section of the pancreas are the endocrine cells. Here we see the cells under higher magnification. These cells secrete the hormone insulin directly into the blood. They are sensitive to the amount of sugar in the blood. The cells surrounding them are quite different in their appearance and function. They are responsible for secreting enzymes into the intestine. As blood sugar level rises above certain concentration, the cells of the pancreas are stimulated to produce the hormone insulin. The insulin then causes the cells in the liver and muscles to convert glucose in the blood to glycogen. Glycogen is stored in the liver and muscles until glucose is needed. This system maintains homeostasis in the blood. Homeostasis means keeping something, in this case the sugar in the blood, constant or within narrow limits. You may wish to discuss what would happen if the pancreas was unable to secrete insulin. This occurs in a disease called diabetes. As we have already seen, the adrenal glands lie adjacent to the kidney. They have no ducts and are stimulated by nerve impulses from the brain. Once stimulated, the cells of the gland secrete a hormone called adrenaline directly into the blood. The hormone adrenaline is sometimes called the fight or flight hormone, as it is responsible for preparing the animal for physical exertion.
On your marks, get set!
This is a section of the adrenal gland seen under the microscope. Like the pancreas, the cells of the adrenal gland, once stimulated, secrete the hormone directly into the blood which bathes the cells. It is then carried in the bloodstream to all regions of the body. Adrenaline has the opposite effect of insulin in the muscles and liver. It converts the glycogen storage product to glucose, which can be converted into energy in the muscle cells, enabling them to contract. Adrenaline has a number of other important functions associated with the fight or flight response. You may wish to consider how these changes help in the preparation for physical exertion. Hormones secreted from a tiny gland in the brain called the pituitary gland are responsible for the development of the sex organs during puberty. When amounts of these hormones, called gonadotropins, are released into the blood, sexual development can take place. Once the process of puberty starts, hormones called sex hormones are released into the blood by the sex organs themselves. There are three main sex hormones, and both men and women secrete all three, but in different quantities. Men secrete mainly testosterone, whilst women secrete mainly estrogen and progesterone. Testosterone is produced in the male testes once they mature. The hormone is released directly into the blood and is responsible for a number of changes during puberty. These changes include an increase in growth rate, development of muscles, the penis and testes become larger and start to produce sperm, there is growth of hair on the body and face, the voice box enlarges and the voice deepens. The female sex hormone progesterone is mainly concerned with pregnancy, whilst estrogen is important from puberty until menopause, which occurs at about 50 when egg production stops. Cells in the ovary which surround the developing eggs are responsible for secreting estrogen. Estrogen also causes an increase in growth rate, growth of pubic hair around the fully developed genital organ and armpits. Fat is deposited around the hips and breasts, the pelvis becomes enlarged, and the menstrual cycle starts. Secretions of the hormone estrogen control the female menstrual cycle. This cycle is important in reproduction and involves a thickening of the uterine wall over a 28-day cycle. The uterus wall is shed every 28 days, causing bleeding into the vagina called menstruation or the period. The hormone level which controls menstruation is governed by the development of the egg and ovulation. Plants also produce hormones which control their growth. These hormones are chemically different and are not produced in glands but in the growing regions of plants, and they diffuse through the tissues. We can examine the action of these hormones by isolating the growth substance produced by the shoot tips of maize seedlings. Firstly, the shoot tip is removed from a maize seedling using a razor blade. The shoot tip is then placed onto agar, which is a jelly-like substance. The growth hormone produced in the shoot tip is then allowed to diffuse into the agar jelly. A block of this agar containing the hormone is then placed on one half of a seedling which has had its shoot tip removed. The growth hormone in the agar diffuses into one half of the shoot. The hormone causes the cells in the shoot on the side of the agar block to grow more quickly. This causes the shoot to bend. Light often suppresses or reduces the production of growth hormone in young shoot tips. If a light is shone on a seedling from one side, the seedling bends towards the light. You may wish to discuss this in terms of hormones and growth.